So we've made it to the end of December now. Been off for a couple weeks, and I came back and decided to get you one last video for this month. Doesn't look like we're gonna make it, unfortunately, to a January steam up due to the fact the firebox has been taking longer than we expected, and it's been slowly going. But we did get the engineer's side done. I'll show you that in a moment. We've just been putting some more stuff on the back head here. What we're really doing is we're getting ready to put the cab back on. He said that's going to be a short time. We just gotta get the old floor knocked out of there and get all redone so we can get repainted and lifted up on here. But that'll probably happen next month. See, the throttle is now on there, and the brass piece that you see up there we just put on there today is the water column, and that has a bunch of valves that go in it and readouts, and still no reverser yet, but we're eventually gonna mount that on there. We'll probably actually mount that before we put the cab on too. And some more pieces. There's a check valve up there, so that actually has the pipe run off it that goes to the main pressure gauge. That's the shut off for it. And over on this side, you see all the flexibles, stay-bolts that run down the side here are pretty much all done except for a couple here. We gotta paint those and get them all done. Some of the studs might need to be redone in here, but right now they're gonna stay put. Those ones I believe are just for the jacketing, so they should be fine. The jacketing is being made right now by Ron, I believe, and he's doing that. What we've changed here is, remember, we painted this part, the throat sheet. I came in here and realized they had cut those out, but what they're really doing is they're not replacing the throat sheet, they're just replacing the stay-bolts. So unfortunately we had painted those, but it's okay. We're just gonna, since we're gonna keep the piece that's in there now, we should be okay. But anyway, I've taken the day and gone through and knocked a whole bunch of them out. I think I knocked out about 65, 70 bolts. And there's only about 40 left here that need to be, I have large pieces of slag on them. I can't knock them out the rest of the way. And they'll be taken out hopefully by the end of next week. Whoever wants to volunteer to do that. It's basically just me in there with the hammer that you see up on the thing and the punch, and going through and knocking them out through the holes in there and trying to make sure. I also took a large piece out. See this thing here? That was in there also, that big cut. I took a large, well, it's not a punch, it's actually a bar. I took a large bar and tried to knock it out through the other side from the slag, but some of them are just too big pieces of slack in there, slag, and just can't push them out. But anyway, the crown sheet, if you could look up there, see all the holes still need to be done, and these ones up here need to be cut before they're done, but the ones back here, and you can't really see, but you can, there you go. Looking that way, it's all done up to where the cab would be on the outside, but the Boilermakers have to take a couple months off here to go do the lake boats because they're coming in. But by the time they come back, we'll be pretty much done with the outside of the locomotive, even with the cab. Hopefully that gets put on. You can see on the outside here, the rods are covered to protect them from the work that's been going on up here. Any studs being taken out, any pipe work, before we get that done. And of course this part needs to have the black paint put on it, and that'll be ready to go. So up there you see where they got into so far. Those will all have flexible stables when Boilermakers come back in March, and the siphons will be lifted in that time. And they're down in Detroit right now being worked on, having their stay-bolts put in by the Boilermakers. Yeah, you see all on this side. On the other side, we don't have the winter riser put on yet. I'll show you that. Okay. Yeah, so here's the other side. It's all cleaned off. Just we don't have the valve rod that goes up here yet. That'll probably need to be cleaned off too, but that's what it looks like so far. All done. Just needs the winter protection put on it. Even the reverser rod's been cleaned off, like I said it would be. It's not the piston yet. That's a little bit more caked on there. We're gonna have to take care of that, but anyway. So the rods are done, and now we've added the primer paint to the engineer's side. There's just a few more bolts that haven't been done yet, and they'll finish those up. They've been done on the inside. The inside's all done, and they replaced some of the studs that are on here. And once that's done, I guess we'll add the paint to that. But that's where we're at so far. Hopefully by the time they get back in March, we'll be pretty much done with the outside of the engine. Just need to have this section primered and then painted, especially at the top. As you can see, the bracket that holds in the throttle lever that goes along the side has been taken down so they could work on that part without us fully removing it. That's about it. You see the lines here for the air. They're copper, so we gotta be careful how we kink them. The original ones were steel, and those were replaced about 6 years ago during the rebuild we had then. So you see how we stretched it out, tried to keep it from kinking up. So all this section here is what needs to be primered next. That hopefully will be done once they get back in March. So I've been working in that section there, and we'll see what happens next month with how that goes. Hopefully we'll have some stables to put in there for the Boilermakers when they get back. Here are the tubes again, just in case you forgot what they look like. We haven't been cutting them lately because we've been trying to get the outside done. But hopefully those will be ready when the Boilermakers get back. Because once the firebox is done, all those tubes have to go in. We gotta be ready to get this thing going. Now it might not look like much now, but if we get the outside done and the cab put back on before they get back here, it'll be pretty much ready to go in a sense. Because we do the steam test, it'll also be somewhat operational. It'll actually be able to move, unlike some tests which don't move at all. It's basically a steamed up hydro. But we gotta do the hydro, we gotta do the steam test. But it should be able to move even without any jacketing on or lagging. We just gotta be able to make sure it's safe. So hopefully this spring it won't bring us any problems when we fire it up. Down here, let's see, this should be the next section to be painted black to get that towards the sandbox, and then work our way that way. Like I've been talking about, see, there's been some studs been taken out there and need to be replaced, but that's about it. All this up here is the same. So that's where we're at so far at the end of December, and we'll see how much we get done down here next month. Stay tuned.